Hi there. How you doing? Well, um, I'm just thinking about the Almighty today, and I'm kind of wanting to kind of pass on some insights that I think I've had, and some information about this and that about how people, maybe you have kind of tripped off on some in some direction and kind of missed the boat. Uh, you know, like the things right there in front of you, um, you know, that kind of thing. But so I was looking at some stuff on good stuff on the internet last night about the hippies, and how they just wanted peace and love, and I was realizing a few things. For instance, I grew up during that period, and I guess in a sense, as far as somebody that wants peace and love, um, I'll volunteer. Sure, I'm into that. Um, the kind of love, though. But anyway, yeah, you want to love, sure. Somebody to love. It's a wonderful thing. Love somebody. It's great. Love them up, and feels good, and it's nurturing. And anyway, so the hippies, uh, you know, the thing is, what I'm seeing is there were the old ways, and there was wisdom. I mean, there was, the teachings of Christ, and the religious doctrines that were spot on about lots of things. Um, but then there was also the way that people approached all of this, and I mean, Christ received from the Almighty. He didn't think about things and then figure things out and then say, "Well, yeah, this is the way it should be." No, you receive it. Yeah, yeah, this is good. Okay, do this. He's a lively. Well, they say he had life inside of him. I'm not sure. I don't know, but you can chew on that. But um, so the hippies, and I'm sure there are some that are quite enlightened and would realize that I'm just full of beans there. But I mean, just the general impression I get from watching the videos and hearing people talk is something I can understand. I mean, I can see, the kids. Um, they wanted to be what they were objecting to was not the message so much, do this and do that, but the content of what it was that was being fed to them. And so I mean, because you can distinguish between you know um, the words that somebody is saying, and of course their inflections and everything else makes a big difference. But I mean the words that they're saying, and the content of the words. And the content of a lot of the words at that time is, we don't know what we're doing, but we know that this works and that works, so just do it, And so, do what I say, and don't question it, and I'm your boss, and God damn you, So, I said, well, no, we don't want to be damned by, and we want to be free. We want to live, Um, so they objected, I mean, they needed to survive, and so they went off, and then they walked right into a lot of things, and an interesting and slightly more complicated one of the things was acid, because they take the acid. I've taken it twice, and um, but I mean, it does. It shows you that there's like another level. I mean, suddenly you wake up and you're kind of, I mean, the dark place you were just in is gone, and there's like this, it's the same world, but I mean, it's got a lot more light in it, and it has a lot of times it has things I don't remember. There was like, I remember the group I was with, it was like unity, like we were all one. I mean, we were one. I mean, you know, um, and that's a great gift that the Almighty gives, gives at times, it seems, in my experience, that oneness. So they took the acid, but the acid, is only part of the picture, because I mean, it takes you to, let's just be positive, let's be simple about it. It will take you to a higher level of consciousness, vegetable level. I don't. It takes you to a higher level of consciousness. Induced, but it's induced by chemicals, by vegetable things. So that thing isn't in your system to begin with. So you got to question right away and say, well, how come, if that's the way it is, then how come I don't already have? Why isn't the Almighty, or whoever's doesn't have that? Was I supposed to find it? I mean, this is a kind of a hokey deal. If you go here and you go there and you look there and you do this thing just right, just a certain way, and everything's just right, why? You'll get the answers. This is kind of a man's way of doing things. The Almighty, in my experience, there it is. Big surprise. There's no time involved. There's no, you have to be really clever. I mean, because suppose you had to be really clever, and then what about the people who weren't clever? So it was God, no, it has to be, it's like for everybody. Get my drift. So you take the acid and you have the higher consciousness, but then the things that are inside of you that are working, like you like to have fun, and which is, I like to have fun too. I'd rather have fun, but not completely. There's another thing there. Actually, before I'd really have fun, I'd rather that God was close to me, and so that's a situation where, you kind of, there's things that, like setting the table so you get the nice person to come and eat. It has to be. I'm not going to go there. It's a mixed value there, but so you take the acid, but then you come down from the acid, and then everything's like it was before. What the heck, But as I said, it did change one thing, and that changed their goals and what they wanted to do, and that was true, because what we want to do, what is it that we want to do, as human beings, as a true human being? What do we want to do? Well, this is, as far as I know, you can, you don't have to believe this. You can put it back there and see how that works out. Whether it's true or not. But yeah, you want to learn, and you want to grow, and you want to find out, find out more about how everything works, and how you work, and what's what, and who's who, and all this kind of stuff. And from that, of course, you grow. So it's about learning, isn't it? So in order to learn, a lot of times the most efficacious way, I mean, you can read and you can learn from reading, and you can watch DVDs and you can learn from those, but I mean, actually having experience, is a much more enlightening thing. It generally tends to have more truth in it. In other words, you can read all about Tibet, and but if you actually went to Tibet and you actually lived there, and for a little while, maybe a week or two, or whatever, then you would have some truth there, that the people have just read about. I mean, it would be the real thing. And of course, here you are on the earth, so you are experiencing the real thing. I mean, you're here, so don't tell me, you didn't come to the earth. You're trying to, well, why didn't you do this and that? Well, yeah, you had to be there, all the things. Sometimes it's absolutely fabulous and great, and other times it's like, oh my God, I mean, you start to go like, wow, do I have, I mean, like, oh God, and stuff like that, the highs and the lows. So it's about experience. Well, and lost the track. Anyway, coming back to the thread, what the hippies were talking to, now I'm talking to some any hippies that might be left. There's probably not that many. I mean, I'm getting up there. You know, I'm 76. Um, you know, anyway, so the hippies, well, they try to get to it through having sex, not realizing how complicated that is. Because, well, it's a lot of fun to have sex with somebody you love. Um, and, you know, the girl said, well, even having sex is fun, but I don't know. I mean, it might be fun at the moment, but then looking back at it, you go like, God, you know, what was that? I mean, having sex with somebody you don't. So love is the kind of, you know, you have a feeling of love for somebody, and you like to love them up, and then the sex kind of mingles in there, and it's all good, and you know. But it's also pretty intimate. It's pretty, you know, it goes pretty deep, and it's been said that it can actually affect your soul, and you know, as well as other things that you might do that are kind of like a little bit off track, outside of the will of God, as they say. Yeah, think about that. You know, what is inside? What is the will of God, and what is outside of the will of God? Interesting thing. So there's complications there. So, you know, and then after a while, you get worn out because I mean, you can't just keep having a whole bunch of partners, and you know, these people, women get pregnant, and you know, or they want to have kids, and they, you know, contraception, they have kids, and then you know they're more interested in the kids, and, you know, and they start getting more interested in their own life, you know, the heck with you. Lots of things happen, and so, you know, in the end, what happened to all the hippies? Where are they now? Well, there's, you know, there's people around that still wear those outfits and manage to live somewhere. I don't know how they make a living, how they provide for their physical, you know, their needs. I mean, because, you know, that's the whole thing, isn't it? I mean, like, you have a body, that thing has needs. I mean, it has to. You have to keep it away from the hot and cold, and you have to feed it, and you know, and you have your nerves. You have to take care of your nerves, and you got to be, you know, warm and snuggly at night, and energetic during the day, and the thing gets, the body gets, if you don't do it right, why it starts to get sick, and one thing and another. So, you know, there's a burden of the body, which, you know, you're given the tools, and God helps you and shows you how to look after that thing. Because, you know, well, I'm not going to talk too much about the Almighty because I'm not sure that you would believe me, or that, because, you know, there's the essential experience of having a proof that God exists. And that's pretty fundamental to the present day, because, you know, it's a road that you're taking. If you're sure that God exists, then you will do a bunch of things, and be willing to do a bunch of things, and stay the course, and you know, so forth and so on, that you won't be able to do if you're not sure. So you could say one of the first things is to have the proof. But anyway, so coming back to hippies, so they all kind of, you know, went off and said a bunch of stuff and everything else, but you know, when they started facing up against the world, why, it got pretty rough. And as the kid said on an interview with what's his name? Oh my God, you know, that's like, well, you know, what I feel is that, and I wonder if you have, you know, that guy. Said, well, you know, you go and you do all these things, and all you want to do is they get smashed in the face, hosed down, police put you in jail, and, you know, so, you know, the world, you know, as my dad said, you know, the world is waiting for his open arms and his fist of each end. Yeah, my dad was good, and So, they found that out, and as they kind of went off into their, I mean, they didn't, they did, I mean, their world changed, and it's changed things, sure. So it's good. Anyway, so but their motive was correct. I mean, they, what they didn't what they didn't come to, you know, apparently, is they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough information, and the Almighty provided the information during that period. Sent being who had already passed through here. I mean, it's easy to say, but I mean, had finished the course. And, um, gave explanations about how things work and what's necessary and how you can go on back to the Almighty. And I myself, I've been practicing that for a long time, doing those things as best I can, and I'm really making I'm totally committed to that because I know there is a God. I've had proof, and even so, I mean, it took me like, I don't know, 50 years. Yeah, it's been, let's see, 50, yeah, maybe somewhere close to 50 years before I started to, because the thing had to happen. You have fine feelings, medium feelings, and coarse feelings. Those things all have to be put back in their rightful place and purified, cleaned up. Fine feelings, I think, this is how I experience it, start to get cleaned up. You can see, become more discerning in your awareness, and so you. And then at some point there, when the Almighty's, when it's ready, when it's time, you start to notice that, oh, look, I mean, maybe it's happened to you before, but you didn't notice it, or you didn't note it particularly. You can see where your consciousness will change. I mean, utterly change. I mean, like 1 minute you're in yourself and you're in this kind of world, and then the next moment, why, you've come out of it and you're like a different, a much more, together. I mean, you're much more, being that is outside of it. I mean, it's not wrapped up in this world, and so it's in that being the world in that sense of being wrapped up in it doesn't exist. And that's a very nice place to be. You want to get there. Well, how do you get there? You could compare that, I suppose, with the kind of consciousness thing that was induced by a drug. People went off these natural highs, and that's a lot of work because, I mean, there you are, you're in the world, you're going to eat some McDonald's hamburger, and what kind of natural high are you going to get out of that? And so on and so on. They eat the better food. And, all those things are good. As long as you're happy with that. Anywho, so that kind of consciousness is attainable. I mean, an ordinary person. I'm an ordinary person. An ordinary person can. I'm here to tell you. I bear witness to that fact. I hate to use a religious term, but there it is. But I can tell you from my own experience that you can come to that consciousness, and boy, that's where you want to be too. I mean, because it's not appropriate to be in that consciousness every second of the day, but you can at least be there, enough that once a day or whatever, you kind of lingers. get all drawn back in. It's like you get drawn up, and you get drawn, and you get pulled. How do you get pulled up? Because of the action of the Almighty. How do you get the action of the Almighty? Well, you just let go and wait. That's the important thing. Is to wait till something real happens. So, for instance, right now, if I wait, whoa, there's something right away. See, if I wait, ma, see, yeah. So, and then you follow that, you allow that, and you do that for half an hour, twice a week, and over the years, and I said, well, how come it takes so long? Why couldn't we just do it right there, and then I'd be all good, and it'd all be over? Well, because there's just so much stuff in the human body that's descended, from a long, long, long time ago. I mean, it is. Your body comes from a long time ago. And the way it's arranged and how it all works and everything is kind of, it's not, I mean, there are things in there that, I mean, I don't know, suppose you had an ancestor who liked to murder people for some reason, I mean, he was all goofed up, and so he went around murdering people, and then he had kids. Well, the way things work, it isn't just a clean slate. I mean, it's like it carries over. There's a kind of a train there, so then you have the nice little boys all sweet and kind and everything, but, every now and then he feels like murdering somebody, and, those things can get out of hand or they can affect his behavior and so forth and so on. So all that stuff, all those errors of the ancestors, antecedents to they all have to be cleaned up. That takes quite a bit of time. And the only being that can do it, is the Almighty. You can't do this. You could say, well, yes, I can. I don't know. I mean, you could argue the point. You could say, well, but see, I mean, to find out, it's like, trying to see yourself when you're in yourself. I mean, it's like, and then if you clean out that little bit, what if it's not time to clean out that little bit, and then so something falls, like you're cleaning up a construction site, you have to know, okay, let's see, we can go over here, you can feel it, and we can start cleaning up here. Because when we clean up here, nothing's going to drop on us, or it's not going to get, it's not going to let something else lean over and crash. So you kind of have a sense of the order of things, and the Almighty, has that sense of, spades, can, clean you up. So when you let go and you wait and you let the Almighty work on you for half an hour, a couple of times a week, that's plenty. Don't need to worry that you can just, you need to do it all the time because you're in such a mess. It doesn't work. There needs to be kind of a balance. Because the parts of you that want to, they're comfortable here and live in the world and are set up to function, including your mind, A limited mind, what a mischief maker it is in man, or what it causes, because people get possessed by their minds. I mean, they're actually possessed. A lot of people are possessed. You may be possessed by your mind. You may be possessed because I can't understand what he's saying, yet I'm speaking in very simple, clear English to you. I'm not saying anything that's very complicated, I'm talking about, reality. If I really want to talk to you about reality as directly as possible, here's what I would say. I would say, Sunday's walking. You feel that? I'm not going to do it. Anyway, so, but I mean, we don't do that. And those words it's not the words, it's the content. If you felt something that's a direct communication. But, we mitigate it. We kind of ease through this. This is an ease through, well, how you doing, that kind of thing. It's more balanced, it's balanced as it needs to be. Okay, so if you get my picture here, what I was saying is that hippies, and people who aspire to being a true human being, and when you get to kind of get restored, and you see and you experience what it's like to be a true human being, it's similar, but it's rather different from the kind of condition that man is in. Among other things, you are, at some point it just comes. You have a feeling of love for mankind. You just love mankind. It just is. You just love mankind. And so, therefore, you behave along those lines. Also, you become aware of the direction of the Almighty in your being, and you like to follow that because then eventually you're afraid not to. You're afraid you don't want to follow anything else. Because that's the pure, that's the best, that's the way, the guidance of God. That's what they're talking about in Eden. Eden is not a place. It's where two perfect beings were, and they were being guided by God. So they were doing things in the right way. I mean, they weren't thinking, "Is this the right way?" No, they were being guided. Oh yeah, now I need to do this. Now I'm doing this. I feel like I should worship God. So their worship would come in, not too much and not too little, just the right amount, so that they could so that the Almighty can kind of adjust. There's adjustments there, and those things, of course, still need to be taking place. But anyway, in that state, in that condition, then you do things which are positive. Your soul, it's a direction of that kind that it's only the positive. You don't do things that are negative for you. Trials, tests, sure. I mean, they come up, but not negative things. That's a waste of time, isn't it? Why tear down the house it's just ridiculous. So it's a building. And so they were able to live in this world without harming, without being being an addition to everything, and not a subtraction. Makes sense, doesn't it? And so, but then when they stepped off out of pressure, and I don't, as I understand, it wasn't the right way. It takes quite a long time because beings that came here were perfect. Started out. It took a long time for them to get pressured, maybe, okay, they say follow an impulse, they do something that's coming from a different source than the guidance of God. That's where the problem starts right there. So, in the ways of the gift that God has given us, like for instance, one of the things that you start training yourself to learn to do is not to react and not to follow impulses. And of course, this is a common wisdom as well, but it's also true, it's true in your inner life. And you don't follow impulses. Why? Because where did the impulse come from? Oh, you didn't know. Well, if you want to be a true human being, you need to know the source. And of course, you say, well, how would I find the source? You can try looking inside. Is this the right source? All this kind of crap. But that's not the way of it. It comes in your inner feeling, in your inner intelligence, able to distinguish almost as it comes along automatically what is arising from your inner direction, which is directed by inner is directed by the soul, so inner. And talk about just the soul, the whole inner setup, whether it's different things, and something else. Because once you start to follow something else, then that something else generally is almost always, my experience. I mean, I didn't even think of doing it because it's almost always some force that's lower than that noble human being, and so then you go off into those lower worlds. Well, I don't think you should eat now, And then, of course, it's not time to eat yet. So, but they go ahead and eat. So they get everything. So they start shifting things that aren't really ready to operate yet, or aren't set up to do that. So they have a meal, and the meal is kind of a little bit tilted, and it tastes good, But and I feel pretty good, a little sick. But see, that wasn't the thing to do. The thing to do is to do this and this, and then you would eat. There was an order there that would be what works best. So there are all these things. So this is where a lot of people are today. They've gotten it's all covered over. So that thing that is the guidance of God, which is there, it's there all the time. If you look at your life, if you look at, watching this video, for instance, if you're watching this video, then at some point you blah, 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 you should, turn on the thing, I want to see something, and then, what's this? I think I'll listen to this. So if you're actually listening to this, you're kind of probably calmed down. As you would need to be. If you're listening to it and you weren't guided to watching it just on a whim or something like that, you're going what is this? What is this? Oh, it's some old guy. I don't know. Well, I don't know. No, I'm not interested in it. Maybe later I'll watch it. So you're not ready to listen. You're not ready to hear, what's being said. Okay, so that's about it for now. So the hippies, just to sum up, had gotten, kind of, because acid, you can't keep taking acid, and acid can be pretty scary too, and pretty bad, whereas, getting the feed from the Almighty, it's never scary. I mean, you might feel fear because, you have cowardice in you, but, I mean, there's nothing, in fact, that is ever it's benign. It's like God will never harm you. Why would God harm His own creation? It doesn't make any sense. So they missed the boat, and that boat came along. I mean, the gift was given to the West. It started spreading in the West around 1957, which is about the same time that everything started to fall apart in terms of the established way of things, which, originally a lot of it, maybe more than half or something, or half of it or something, came from some noble thing that Christ said in the Western world, or some kind of wisdom. But then it gets taken over by forces and used for the benefit of that realm rather than actual thing that it was. So, let's take, for instance, things you were told, you need to be polite. You need to be nice to other people. Well, yeah, so then, so that means, what does it mean? What's the content of it? real the thing of it is love everyone else. And so in that way, you're going to actually be nice to them, aren't you? But suppose they are out of place, doing something that's not correct, or they've stepped over, they've gone beyond, they've preceded the will of God as their own thing. Why then you're told to be nice to them? Well then you can go ahead and do it, but it doesn't feel real. It doesn't. So you start thinking, well, I'm not going to be a phony. I'm not going to be nice to a person when I don't feel like what they're doing is right. So so then you start going off on that track. But when you get to be like a real human being, or get restored into being a real human being, those things happen in a different way, because those kind of people who are really off track, I mean, you have a setup that comes in for that. So, I don't know. What the fuck are you doing here? And you're going like, well, what are you doing here? As opposed to, get the fuck away from me. You're being rude to me. I don't like it. I mean, there's a response, a good response to everything. Sometimes, as you know, it's just silence. Anywho, just reflecting on the hippie thing, and trying to pass on things that I experienced, and know from experience about it. Okay. Hope you're having a good day, and God bless you, and so forth. And hey, peace.